Sharma is one of the finest young musicians in India today. He's the son of the living legend Pandit Shivkumar Sharma, and he's taking his father's legacy forward on the Santoor. But in addition to using the Santoor for Hindustani classical music, Rahul is also pushing the envelope with his new age and world fusion music. He's collaborated with some of the greatest Western musicians of our time, like French pianist Richard Clayderman and American saxophonist Kenny G. Watch out for Rahul Sharma and his magical meditative Santoor. This is our talk. I'm Jujhar Singh. Rahul, it's excellent to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Jujhar. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're captivating a lot of people with your Santoor.
Well, I don't know about that. Just trying to have fun with whatever I'm doing.
Amitabh Bachchan is a fan of yours. Yeah, I've got his quotation on you over here. I've heard several compositions of Rahul. They're all novel and good. He's an illustrious son to a legendary father, Shivji.
It's really sweet of him because he's been an inspiration in so many ways, and yeah, sometimes he listens to my CDs when he's traveling, and he's told me that, and it's really so wonderful to hear that from him.
You know, you began learning the Santoor relatively late for someone who comes from a musical family. You started learning from your father, Pandit Shivkumar Sharma ji, at the age of 13.
That's right.
And you started accompanying him in concerts at the age of 24.
It was pretty late compared to other kids of musicians who started probably when they were 4 or 5. But I guess I took some time to figure out what exactly was my true calling. Of course, as a child, I was confused, just like other kids are.
Eventually, the genetics got the better of you.
I'm glad so.
Well, you know, let's talk about the Santoor because it has such a beautiful, calming, meditative sound.
It's very pleasing to the ears, and even as a child, I remember sometimes when I was studying, I used to just play my father's CDs at the background, and it would help enhance concentration and calm me down. Yeah. It's also used on calming patients in psychotherapy and other things. So, music has a therapeutic reaction on people, and not just the Santoor, I think many other instruments, but the Santoor has this gentle softness to it.
Your father says that for him, playing the Santoor and music is a prayer, it's a form of meditation. How do you approach your music?
Well, for him, one can actually see that it's a prayer, it's a meditation, and we all try and elevate ourselves once we are on stage. We try and forget that we are playing for 4,000 people or 400 people and try and go within ourselves, which is a very difficult state to reach.
But you also played the Santoor in many spiritual contexts, may I say. I mean, you played in front of many spiritual luminaries like Sri Sathya Sai Baba, the Dalai Lama, Swami Tejamananda as well.
Yes. Yeah, I've been very fortunate, and in fact, you've taken such names, and
you've had a very close association with Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Yes, absolutely. Baba, in a lot of ways, in all ways, I would say, is my guru. And whatever I've today become in life as a person and as a musician is thanks to my father and to Sathya Sai Baba. Otherwise, I don't know which direction I would have probably gone in.
How did he encourage you?
He was with me throughout my formative years, throughout the time that I first met him in Puttaparthi. After that, I've had innumerable experiences of, feeling his divinity. And with our kind of music, spirituality is extremely important, like you've been saying it. So I think once you find someone who can help you through this crazy world that we live in and find sanity in it, and keep your balance. So someone like Sathya Sai Baba just taught me that.
We're talking about the Santoor and its beautiful, calming, meditative sound. It'd be very nice if you could hear a piece like that.
Sure.
What would you like to play?
Well, this is based on Bhairavi, which is a very soothing raga. So I'll just play that.
What a wonderful feeling.
It's a beautiful sound, and there are so many beautiful rags, and they convey so many emotions.
Rahul, what's the origin of the Santoor?
Well, you know, this instrument was originally called the Shatatantri Veena. And in Sanskrit, the Shatatantri Veena means an instrument with 100 strings. So it's been around for centuries. Originally, of course, it's found in Kashmir.
I believe, in fact, that your grandfather, Pandit Shivkumar Sharma, in fact, gave your father the Santoor and wanted him to make it what was a folk and Sufiana Mosiki instrument into a classical one.
Of course, it was my grandfather, Pandit Sharma ji, who gave this instrument to my father when my father was learning tabla. And he was a bit startled, why do I need to, you know, play this instrument? But it was my grandfather's vision that he felt that, you know, this is the instrument which probably would be the true calling of my father. It was played as an accompaniment to the Sufi singing in Kashmir. So nobody actually thought of taking this instrument on stage and presenting it in the way that it's presented, or it was presented that
time. As
a
classical instrument, a solo instrument, which is what your father's done with the Santoor.
Absolutely, and the credit for establishing this instrument goes to him single-handedly.
Well, you just mentioned that the Santoor originally had 100 strings. How many strings does your Santoor have?
It has 93 strings right now. We do spend a lot of time tuning it.
To tune it. But you know, Rahul, the Santoor is a staccato instrument.
Yeah.
You know, it has these cut, individual kind of notes, you know. When a Hindustani classical music, you know, you're required to perform the mean, where you have these unbroken slides from one note to the other. So how do you achieve that on the Santoor?
Yeah, well, that's a technique that my father evolved over the years. For instance, if we were playing now this is the staccato part, you know.
It's a very cut individual.
Yeah, or
staccato
you know,
sound,
but it can also be played like.
It's very interesting when watching you. I mean, you were gently striking the strings.
Yes.
And then you were gliding your kalam along the strings, you know, to create that sort of
That's right.
mean?
And you know, when I was learning, or any student is learning, this is a very tricky part to understand, that till you kind of figure out that, okay, fine, you break it away from the nature of the instrument, the staccato aspect, and think that you're singing, or it's like a bow on a violin, for instance, you know. So till you feel that, this glide that you're talking about doesn't come.
Rahul, your focus has been on classical music, but you've also introduced the Santoor to new age and world fusion music. What exactly have you been trying to do?
Good question. See, because when I was learning classical music, I used to listen to a lot of different music as well, folk music from all over the world. The Beatles, the Pink Floyd, I was interested in the rock aspect, and you know, composers like Vangelis and etc. So I wanted my Santoor, my instrument, to be featured in that genre of music also. Why couldn't that happen? I mean, Santoor was for a long time been associated with beauty, nature, Kashmir, romance, and all those things, you know, so, which are great. That's the nature of the instrument. But it's also a very diverse instrument which could be featured in various different genres. So that was my personal motivation to try.
Let's look at some of your notable collaborations. You teamed up with the highest-selling pianist in the world, the Frenchman Richard Clayderman, and I believe that neither of you speak the same language. How did the collaboration go?
Well, he doesn't speak at all. He's very silent. He's very quiet. But Richard Clayderman was somebody I used to listen to since a long time. And when I got this opportunity to work with him, I was simply thrilled. And I was also composing music for a film, for a Bollywood film that time, and he got to know that I also compose. So he asked me to compose the entire album, you know. And we did this album called Confluence, and then we did Confluence 2. So I think it probably was one of the highest selling instrumental albums I've been told.
They were smash hits.
You know, the Santoor and the piano are from the same family. If you open up a piano from inside, it's struck by hammers, you know, and the sound comes when you press the key, the hammer strikes. And that's how, so it's evolved from one of the string instruments. And that's why probably the combination sounds good.
Your album's Confluence with Richard Clayderman were excellent. I mean, the music was soft, romantic, and delicate.
Thank you.
Let's give our viewers a little glimpse of the album.
All right, sure. I'll play something for you.
So delicate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
The Santoor has this mellow, meditative sound, so I suppose whether you're playing classical music or you're playing fusion music, that inherent quality remains.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if it's used in the right genre, the right combination, the right collaboration, and if that collaboration enhances your music, then, you know, you're satisfied, I guess. So that's how it works for me.
Rahul, you've also collaborated with the Grammy Award-winning American saxophonist Kenny G. I believe when your father heard about this collaboration, he thought it was wrong because he felt the santoor and the saxophone can't combine together.
Right.
Until he heard your album, Namaste India.
Yeah, well, Namaste India, I was so happy that eventually he liked the album, and he still hears it quite a bit, and I was delighted to play with Kenny G, of course, and such a fabulous musician. And that's the whole thing with music. It's so unpredictable. Sometimes you don't know what the possibilities are. And when I tried santoor with saxophone, it kind of complemented nicely. And of course, there were original songs that I composed and Kenny improvised on them. But we also had a classic hit, which was Ye Kahan Aa Gaye Hum. And we had Amitabh Bachchan's voice from the original, of course. And Kenny G added his, his saxophone touch to it. So it just became something very special, the entire album, and it worked well for all of us.
Great. We'd love to get a glimpse of it.
Okay, sure. I'll try and play something from it.
Thank you very much. Rahul, let's look at one more notable collaboration of yours. You teamed up with the Grammy-winning band Deep Forest.
That's right. Yeah.
What did you do with them?
Yeah, Deep
Forest. Because that's an electronica band.
That's electronica. And again, a huge fan of Deep Forest. Eric McQuay, amazing guy. And he was one of the first guys who, brought to the forefront tribal music from all over the world and added his electronica bit to it. So it
sort of became tribal electronica.
Tribal electronica, and it was fascinating what he was doing with it. And we worked on an album 2 years ago, and it's called Deep India. The idea was to take folk from all over India, and for instance, the folk from Jammu and Kashmir, folk from Assam, folk from different parts from Kerala. We had like 10 tracks, and we worked on it together. And it's simply amazing because when you highlight folk, the passion, the emotion that's there in the folk, because a lot of the music, a lot of the songs originate from folk music. So when you have Deep Forest add to it, their style and the santoor, of course, so it created a very beautiful combination. And we've been performing, we've been friends since then. It's been wonderful. Yeah.
Rahul, let's take a very short break. When we come back, we'll come back with a quick rapid fire round.
Wow.
Yeah?
All right.
All right. Top young santoor player Rahul Sharma is on our talk. We'll be right back.
When did genius vocalist Kishori Amonkar break her reclusiveness?
I felt like
talking to you about music.
Where did art legend S.H. Raza do his first TV interview after moving to India?
काजल की कोठरी में कैसे ही सुहाना जाए. Once you're trapped, you're trapped.
Who did iconic photographer Dayanita Singh turn to for an exclusive one-on-one? India's greatest musicians, dancers, artists and photographers are on our talk with me, Jujhar Singh, at these times on NewsX. Welcome back. You're watching Our Talk with me, Jujhar Singh. Top young Santoor player Rahul Sharma is on the show. Rahul, let's have a quick rapid fire round.
All right.
Short answers, please. First, your unique style or language on the Santoor.
Experimental, innovative, and still discovering.
The biggest lesson you've learned from your father, Pandit Shivkumar Sharma ji?
Patience, determination, and willpower.
Number 3, the other musicians who've influenced your music.
Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, Pandit Jasraj, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab, Ghulam Ali ji, Pink Floyd, Enya, U2.
Number 4, you've composed for a couple of Bollywood films as well. Mujhse Dosti Karogi and Freedom. What was that experience like?
Completely different school, completely different set of people to work with. You have to kind of think that, okay, this tune that I'm composing is for the rickshaw guy who is driving his rickshaw, is tired, and wants to hum a catchy tune. And you've got to keep that in mind and compose something as simple as that. At the same time, the director has to be satisfied because he's the boss. So you're not making music which you probably would enjoy seeing on cinema, but you're satisfying other people in this. So you have to keep that vision very clear and not mix it up, then it works.
Finally, your next exciting project.
Well, I'm excited to be performing in Turkey right now. I'm going to Konya, and I'm performing at the birthplace of Rumi. You know, so I'm looking forward to that. And apart from that, there are a couple of albums which are still going on in my mind, but I've done like far too many albums, about 60 albums, so I'm kind of taking a break from that as well, and well, looking forward to some concerts right now.
Rahul, all the very best for the future.
Thank you so much, Jujhar. It's been a pleasure to be on your show. I must say it's one of the finest shows for viewers who enjoy music and art, because your questions are very, very well thought of. You're very well researched about your subjects, and it's a pleasure to be on.
Thank you very much for your kind words, and thank you so much for being on the show, Rahul.
Thank you, Jujhar. So let me close the show with something which is quite uncommon on the Santoor, which is more of a jazz scale. So for the viewers and for you.